Scouting right now. It's going very, very well. We've had very little hiccups. So part of the process of bringing girls into boys, hey, Dave, part of the process of bringing, sure, just give me a second here. Got it? Nope.
Yep.
I teach college and I'm used to having sound built into the room, so I'll get it.
There you go.
There you go.
can
All right,
put that
thanks.
wherever
Yep.
you want.
All right. I don't think that made any difference at all, but you can hear it. Yep, that's fine. Oh, I got you. So anyway, girls and boy scouting. The executive board I made the motion. It was approved. How long ago would you say that we started this?
It would have been this time. It would have been November
2017. So about a year ago. So here we are getting started. So the welcome here. Why don't we go around the room? Start who we are. I'll start with our fearless leader here, and we'll go around the room. Say name, community, unit, and role.
Tim Malevsky, Scout Executive, also part of PAC 133 at Putnam Heights Elementary. And what was the other one?
Can I scout?
Oh.
Is that Eau Claire?
Oh, I live in Eau Claire, but Scout Executive for all 10 counties we serve.
There you go. All right. We'll go this way.
Marion Anderson. I'm a parent. Troop 30, Eau Claire.
Troop 30 Eau Claire. Fantastic.
Jeff Hartman, I'm an assistant scoutmaster at Troop 30.
Troop 30. Corey, how are you this evening?
Hi, Jay. How are you?
Doing well.
I'm Corey. I have an addiction.
Here, Corey. Corey doesn't know he's replacing me. And here you go, Corey. And that's with Troop 30. Richard?
I'm Dick Freitag. I'm the chartered organization representative, Troop 30.
Troop 30. Fantastic.
Matt Bartels, Eau Claire, Troop 148, Scoutmaster.
Okay.
Alicia Scheffler, Troop 148, Assistant Scoutmaster here in Eau Claire.
Eau Claire. Sir? Oh, next. Okay.
Spencer Lewis, Scoutmaster with PAC 31 at Eau Claire.
Oh, fantastic.
Richard Miller, Scoutmaster, Lafayette,
Lafayette.
Troop 75.
That's excellent.
Dave Menor, Scoutmaster, PAC 76, Pepin, Wisconsin.
Pepin. Excellent. Ooh, you came a long ways. I don't want to be as far as Rice Lake.
Dave Grunquist, Assistant Scoutmaster, PAC 76, Pepin.
Pepin.
Troop 11, PAC 11 from Bloomer and Chartered Organization.
Excellent. Excellent.
Nancy Weiss, Troop 65, Cadet.
Okay. Excellent.
Jim Koenig, Ben leader, PAC 24 out of Cumberland.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, we got a lot of north up here. Why don't we go in the back row here?
Hello, Greg Falkford with Troop 13 in Chippewa Falls, Assistant Scoutmaster.
Excellent.
Scott Koenig, Scoutmaster, Troop 13, Chippewa Falls.
Chippewa Falls.
Mike Buckman, Troop 13, new member.
Dick Shoemaker, unit commissioner in district advancement, new member in Clearwater.
All right, fantastic.
Ben Anderson, Scoutmaster, Troop 30.
Thanks, Ben.
Matt Dinger, District Executive with Timber Rivers. Sorry, Adam.
We'll come back around. We got to do this, Ken?
Ken Johnson, Assistant Scoutmaster, Troop 175, and Clearwater Camping Chair. Sorry.
Fantastic.
Eric Hubler, Timber Rivers District Commissioner.
The one and only Dave.
Dave Madsen, Scoutmaster, Troop 103 in Menominee, and the Scout Book Guide.
Scout Book Guide. Yeah, someday that's going to all work together. Rick?
Rick Velker, District Commissioner, Blue Hills District, and I do live in the outskirts of Earl.
Outskirts of Earl. Nice.
Are you the Duke?
The Duke of Earl.
No, they live in town. I live in the subs.
Greg Montgomery, Cumberland, PAC 24, Assistant Cubmaster, and Parent, Troop 24.
Oh, fantastic. Adam, family?
I'm Kathy Bauer. I am committee member for Troop 26.
Anna Bauer, Scoutmaster, Troop 26, Boyceville.
Excellent. Boy, a lot of foxes here tonight. All good. And we miss anybody? Oh, there he goes, Jonathan. Jonathan Walls. I'm the Blue Hills District Executive. I live in Sorona. Nice. Sorona. So, welcome everybody. Yes, sir.
Just one thing, found out some people didn't see this when you walked in. We're doing a special drawing tonight. There's only 2 of these currently in the Chippewa Valley Council. You can also order one if you don't get one tonight, but there's only 2 of these in the council. We're giving them both away. So if you missed it when you walked in, you can I can give you a card. You can drop your name in. Did everybody else get one? Anybody else? I'll get you. Anybody else raise your hand?
Anybody else? All right.
I'll come back around. I just want to make sure
All right.
everybody had a chance to do one for the drawing and someone
No, that's fantastic.
Is there
So.
anybody that did not get a packet when they came in?
After you fill them out, I will come back by and pick them up from you too.
So before I hand off the my little portion of the night to Joe, we did have a video to show. Yes. If you wanna.
Let's go, guys. Get your stuff.
Don't forget your coffee. And I'll meet you there later with the food.
That's good.
Oh, don't forget your coffee.
You guys ready? What about you?
Scout me then.
Let's go.
Well, that's the end of my song and dance. That's all I got. Joe.
Thanks a lot, Jay. If we want to switch over to the PowerPoint, one quick note, we did have a variety of troops and volunteers that that could not be here tonight to join us. Just kind of scheduling, so we are trying to videotape tonight's presentation so we can share that with people down the line or some different things that way. That's why we have the microphone that we're going to kind of pass around, but I think we can all hear each other okay. So I want to thank everybody that's kind of part of the program tonight. We tried to kind of incorporate a variety of people and kind of perspectives on it. And really our two goals this evening, we want to help everybody understand the mechanics of linked troops and exactly how that can be used in our communities to impact youth. But then also talk about some of the key things that we're going to need to all work together to do to ensure that we've got young ladies out there that are ready to participate in these programs as well. So it's kind of twofold. One, how do we run it? And then how do we recruit young ladies into our program? There, with your packet, I'll kind of refer to a few things that are in there. But next slide. So there's been a variety of kind of questions and information out there about, hey, if our troop or our community is looking to add females, what exactly is that going to look like? Just to kind of get everybody on one page, the mechanics of it is a chartered organization can elect to basically start what's called a linked troop. That linked troop would work in conjunction with the existing chartered organization, the existing unit committee, and many of the existing key people. Some things that'll remain the same is they can elect to have the same unit number. They also can elect to have a different unit number. So just as an example, you could have a troop 76 for young men and you could have a troop 761 for young ladies, or you could have both men or both young ladies and young men be part of a troop 76. At the service center and kind of through some of our different programs when we accept registrations and things like that, there may be a sub number that we use with it, but we're a small enough council that we should be able to kind of keep track of everything there. So you can elect to use the same unit number if you'd like. Typically the chartered organization would be the same as well. So both troops would be sponsored by the Cadet Lions Club or the St. John's Lutheran Church, whatever that would be. Units can elect to utilize the same unit committee. So you can have one committee chair that oversees programming for both troops. You could also elect to have that be different if you'd like. In many cases, we're going to see that the meeting time and the meeting location will likely be the same as well, knowing that one of the chief competitors out there for all of us is time and just trying to get more things done in a day. In many cases, it's going to make sense to have those two troops meet at the same time and in the same place, maybe using different rooms, but maybe having some programs that are the same as well. And we'll also see many troops that choose to kind of utilize the same assistant scoutmaster team as well in terms of trying to ensure that their resources are are not overly limited. One key thing that is different with the program though is that in the case of an organization that's using linked troops, it is set up for there to be separate scoutmasters. So separate individuals that are kind of taking on that primary mentorship role with the youth leaders from each unit. Next. It'll be much easier to see this inside your packet, but this is a really helpful grid. You should have this on page 3, a really helpful grid that just kind of talks about some of the different program designs. So you'll see with design number 2 is the format that I believe that many of our units will use based on some of the initial conversations that they've had. That calls for a shared chartered organization representative, a shared committee, a shared assistant scoutmaster team, a different scoutmaster though, a shared meeting location on the same night, and then you'll see there in red that there's a little bit of a meeting model that could be used in terms of a group gathering, a separation into patrols to do activities, much like we see in many of our troops now, and then a group closing. You'll see there that it talks about some or all campouts. Activities can be together. Realize that you can choose to separate as many of those things as you would like. So there will be places where there's linked troops, but they may find it appropriate to do separate outings for portions, just like we have units now that do some outings that are specific to older youth versus younger youth, things like that. I want to point out that this third silo is an example as well. That's program design number 3, and that does call for a single troop that could be out there that serves just young ladies. So we may find that there's a scenario where somebody seeks to start something like that, and that could be an option that's out there as well. But again, recognizing that for many of our units, volunteerism is a little bit of a challenge. There will be benefits to kind of duplicating that unit committee and that assistant scoutmaster team, I believe.
Joe,
Yes.
on your first column, example 1, down there where it says meeting location, meeting type, it says different nights but still meet as a single unit. Is that correct, or is that worded wrong? So
that's worded correctly, but what that's referring to is that there may be situations where things would separate there, but that the entire entity is still one unit. Again, I believe that kind of silo 2 is what we'll see most units use, but the other ones are out there as an example. Next slide. One important note and one area that's kind of caused a lot of questions and a lot of concern of, hey, how can we implement this, is the new youth protection guidelines, which came out last year in February. One thing that you'll see with that is that it calls for any time that there's programming taking place where there's youth females in attendance, the guidelines do call for there to be a female unit leader, a substitute registered adult for that phrase of unit leader. Sometimes we hear the word unit leader and we think, oh, that's got to be the scoutmaster, got to be the cub master. BSA vernacular unit leader refers to a registered adult that is part of that unit. So let's say that you have a situation where the majority of your assistant scoutmaster team is male and your scoutmaster is male. You still are going to want to make accommodations to have some sort of female adult leadership presence when those young ladies are participating in programming. That's for all program types across the board. So troop meetings, unit or council outings, summer camp attendance, things like that. Note that scoutmaster can be male or female. Next. So the mechanics were kind of shared right there. Are there any big questions on that before we kind of shift into the recruitment side of this?
I think, I just got a question, Joe. I got a unit, I'm in the process of it right now, but they have 3 females that want to join. Now, with those 3 females, they would have to have their own separate scoutmaster for those 3?
So there should be, so for those 3, if they were to participate, they would be part of a linked troop affiliated with an existing unit.
Right.
They would need to have an individual scoutmaster in the registration system assigned to them. That can be an individual that has another scouting role currently. So you could have a scenario where somebody that's an existing assistant scoutmaster is serving as a scoutmaster for the new troop, and they are, again, think about what are the functions of a scoutmaster. They're providing that leadership mentoring to those youth. It's many other people in the unit that are taking care of the logistics and everything else. So they would need to have somebody that's assigned as their scoutmaster, yes.
So then, like Matt and I, we've got girls coming in, for sure. I would be a scoutmaster, he'd be a scoutmaster.
That's a scenario, that's a good real world example of what it may look like in 148, yes.
So then right now I'm assistant scoutmaster, that title would probably just go away and.
You could still be the assistant scoutmaster for under his scoutmaster, he could be
Okay,
the assistant
so I
under
just
you.
have to
Yep.
register as.
Yep,
scout.
you just would register using a duplicate adult application, which we'll kind of cover how that paperwork side of it works in the second half of the meeting.
So what if the father comes to the event instead of the mother who was registered?
So if we're in line with the guidelines that are out there, we should have an adult female that's registered, that's part of all of our activities. So it will create an additional thing to think about as you're planning meetings and functions, things like that.
As for our PAC, we did set up where if the daughter is registered, we want the mom to be registered too, because in case the mom comes and we've got a fairly deep female leadership team
Yeah.
for our PAC, but in case they can't be there, we're still covered under the new guidelines.
Sure. I'm sure there will be other things that kind of come up through the evening, and we'll be ready to kind of handle those as they do. We want to shift into talking about some of the recruitment methods that we have planned right now, and some of the things that we're going to need the help of all of our troops to do to have this all be ready to go in early 2019.
Oh boy. All right. I think I did this right, so hopefully that'll work. So just to shift gears a little bit, we can have a really great program plan and we can have volunteers and a place to meet, but really to make this thing work, we're going to have kids as well. And so we want to talk a little bit about ways that we can make sure that we've got the youth and the girls to kind of make this program work. So really the way we're looking at it is that it should be a collaboration between kind of the individual troop as well as getting some support from the district and the council level that way. For those of you that have helped out with school nights, we can do flyers and recruit Cub Scouts pretty well. But once kids get up into that grades 6 through 12, it really takes some kind of peer-to-peer grassroots sort of effort to get them to join. So want to really make sure we've got that piece on there. So a couple things that we're planning to kind of provide to help with that, some paid Facebook ads and also some Facebook events that we can put out there. So if your troop sets up a recruitment night or activity, we can use some social media kind of through the council Facebook page to promote that. Another thing we want to try to do is mail a postcard to troop alumni. So those who maybe went through your troop the last couple years, kind of with the idea that there might be some siblings out there that we didn't catch originally going through. They might have younger family members that might be interested. Providing some posters, providing some invitation cards. So having some actual cards that your scouts can hand out that'll basically say, hey, join us for this camp out or join us for this activity as a way to help get that out there. And then doing a press release and then kind of updating the pins on beascout.org. So if somebody goes out there and they Google, for example, Scouts in Hayward, they'll be able to see this pin and that we've got a program for girls kind of in that area. So these are some of the things that we want to try to provide for everybody to use. You can hit that slide, please, Ken. And then kind of the things that we want to see really get driven by the scouts that are in the troop are a couple of things. So making sure we hold a dedicated sign-up night. So having some sort of an event, fun activity that we can put out there as a, hey, come check out our program. Kind of like we do with the school night for scouting. But things like that. Making use of those posters, so making sure we get those out there in our communities. Potentially working with the district executive on a school presentation. Some communities were able to go into a middle school and do a little bit of a promotion. Some communities that might not be an option, but for a lot of them that definitely could be. And then kind of working with families to make some invitations. So if we can get our existing scouts to invite some of their friends to join, that's really what we've seen as the most powerful tool for them to get linked up. So, and a lot of us, especially in Eau Claire, I know, are active in some of the community events that are going on, and having a booth or something at that can be a really good way to kind of drive some interest. So, does anybody have any questions on the recruiting piece?
Just to kind of point out a couple things that are inside your packet. I believe page 2 has got an interest form. And we do not need this back tonight, but this is something that you and your unit committee can use to identify for us some of the ways that you're interested in being part of recruitment efforts. That'll give us time to ramp up resources for you, whether it's posters, invitation cards, flyers, working with you to schedule something in a school building, things like that. So that's kind of an interest form that you can use to let us know some things that you may be planning. And then you also see inside your packet, there is an example template for kind of a flyer / poster. I think it's called The Higher You Climb.
Awesome. I know some of you too mentioned that you might have 1, 2, 3, 4 girls that are interested, but kind of the hope would be through these methods we can get that number up to 6, 8, 10, whereas they're going to have a little bit better experience having a little bit bigger group. So awesome. You can hit that, Ken, and I think yeah, we've got camping. So
we're going to try and just kind of showcase a few things from some of the program committee sides that are going to impact and kind of how those things will be tied into Scouts BSA moving forward. So we just got real quick updates from camping advancement and training.
Is there information on the PowerPoint for the camping?
No. Okay. All right, so I got to pull up the email, so I make sure I give you guys the right information here. So as far as camping going on for this next summer, girls will be able to participate in the programs at Camp Phillips and Cub World. That'll be no different. The campsites, as many of you probably know, the cabins can sleep four to them. Youth of the same gender and age range will be able to share the cabins. Also, if preferred, siblings or immediate family members will be able to share the cabins. And as hopefully everybody knows, all the campsites have a lot of overflow space, so if you need to set up tents, especially for the larger troops, the space is there. Shower houses and several of the restrooms, they all have individual stalls, so there should be no concern about, stalls that are suitable for male or female, and youth or adults use 24 hours a day. We have been, and I know I've been in a couple of camping committee meetings, and Eric has, we've been working on, from the youth surveys from this summer, from both Cub World and regular camp, we've been working on making those improvements to help us guide for the program offerings for this next summer. So we're listening to what everybody has said and taking that feedback and making some changes. And then like last summer, and we'll do this summer, our camp staff received additional training beyond the standard youth protection so that they promote a positive and safe environment to all the scouting participants. Any questions? Who's next?
The big high point or the key thing on camping is to realize that all of the Cub World sessions and Weeblo Aero Light Adventure Camp will be ready for mixed gender scouts as well.
All right, and again, I'm Dave Mattson. If you have any Scout Book questions, I'll talk to you at another meeting. Just a couple little things with the females coming into the organization. One of the biggest concerns that there's been is Eagle. Okay, the girls have not been able to join, as the boys have up to earlier dates. The BSA is allowing a one-time exemption for older youth, actually both female and male, if they've never been in the organization before, to actually earn their Eagle past their 18th birthday. The way it works is on February 1st, 2019, which is the initial date that the females can join the BSA, if they are 16 years of age at that point, but not yet 18, if they're in that window on the 1st of February, they're able to use that exemption. So technically, if someone signs in on the 1st of February and is 17 years old and 364 days, they can still earn their Eagle.
How long is the extension?
That's a great question. In any of the paperwork I've seen, I've never seen an actual deadline date on it. So
Neither, I just wasn't sure.
yeah, in the readings and things I've seen, they keep saying that Eagle takes on are approximately 19 to 20 months if you do it as fast as you can. So my guess is they're probably going to give till about the 1st of February 2021 is my guess.
I'll
But
double check on. I
yeah,
wasn't
but-
sure if you knew because I didn't see it on there. So
yeah, I
I'll
have
make
not
sure.
seen a hard and fast
We'll find
deadline
it before
date.
February 1st at least.
But so if you know of anybody who's got older females who are like, well, what's the point of me joining because I can't really do anything? That's off the table. As long as they're not 18, they can still join and still earn their Eagle. So I know there's certain people in this room that we need to push. Miss Nelson. With that being said, just some frequently asked questions. Is the BSA changing the Eagle requirements for Eagle Scout? No, same requirements. The only difference is that extension on the time. Can the troops, districts, or councils amend the requirement process? No. Will work completed while they participated unofficially before the 1st of February count? No. Will camping nights from venturing, Sea Scouts, etc. count towards Eagle prior to February 1st? No. Everything is from the 1st of February 2019 and beyond. We're starting fresh, clean slate that way. And then probably the thing that I've heard is kind of an underground buzz that's kind of going is there's the whole, well, I want to be the first female Eagle Scout. The BSA is not actually going to recognize who the first one is because they want the program to succeed, not necessarily one individual. So what they're going to have is in 2020, which will be the first time that anybody could earn an Eagle Scout after the 1st of February 19, they're going to have their inaugural class. It'll be the entire 2020 Eagle class will be announced. There won't be, you know, if Corey was female, you know, Corey can't be the first female Eagle Scout. Sorry, Corey. But you could join me in the team. So
We could get Corey to shave his legs without.
we'll have to work on that at another meeting. But yeah, so as far as advancement, the requirements are all the same. There isn't any male requirements for Eagle, female requirements for Eagle. It's the same required merit badges, the same camping nights, everything that the girls need to do, the boys need to do as well, and vice versa. So there isn't any favoritism going forward as far as the advancement on that. So, and of course, we'll probably see gobs and gobs more coming through the communications. But if anybody has any questions, feel free to contact me or Nick. Nick probably knows more than I do, actually. Or come to our advancement meetings. Advancement committee. Come on.
I really gotta put this thing on?
Yes. If I had to, you.
I'll hold it. How about that? All right, really quick on training. Scoutmaster specific training is now offered online. Okay, so those of you that are also not tech savvy have a great love and hate relationship like myself with technology. February 16th at Elkmount at the Merit Badge Clinic, it will be held in class, and then also in Cameron in March at the Merit Badge Fair. Okay, if you have more than 5 for any kind of training that you have, anything, let your DEs know or your training chairs, and they will set it up for you. Now, where's this thing go? All right, then.
All right, excellent. Thank you, thank you, Ken, Dave, Jonathan, for kind of piping in on that. So, long story short, camping. We want to see our new link troops and our new young ladies at camp. Advancement. We want to see individuals of all ages on that pathway towards Eagle, including maybe somebody that's at that age 17 and 300 days on February 1st. That'd be kind of neat, actually. And then training, as we get new adults involved in our units, or as we use this as a reason to maybe further engage with adults that are hanging around the edges, let's make sure that we get them trained in Scoutmaster specific or Troop Committee Challenge, which are both available online, or at those 2 classroom sessions in February and March. Next. So we have kind of a checklist for everybody of items that are going to need to be collected or ready to go if your unit or organization is choosing to add a linked troop, and you've got something in your packet that kind of shows that. Real quick, there needs to be approval from the chartered organization. That's not any sort of formal document or formal process that needs to occur, but the chartered organization does have the ultimate sign-off on your unit, kind of heading down this endeavor. So have a conversation with your institutional head or your chartered organization representative. If you're not sure who that is, or if you have concerns about how to word that conversation or how that conversation may go, please speak with one of us, and we'd be happy to assist in terms of meeting with that IH with you as a leadership team and help for that conversation to go well, be able to kind of explain some of the, explain away some of the misconceptions that sometimes are out there with people about how young men and young women will do scouting together. We also ask that you please complete a recruitment plan with your district executive. That's what that page 2 of the packet is designed to kind of help you talk through. So some of those resources that Matt covered. That's going to help us have ample time to kind of get those resources in line. Again, whether it's posters, cards, flyers, if we need to set something up with a middle school, that sometimes takes a little bit of time to do that. Youth applications for the new members, any of these young ladies that are joining, even if there's somebody that is coming out of Cub Scouting or already affiliated with a scouting family, they do need to complete a BSA youth application. Those items are available from us. Next. Selecting a Scoutmaster. So as Leisha brought up earlier, this can be an individual that is currently in an ASM role within your unit, and maybe you're working with them to duplicate some duties. It can also be somebody that you are finding new. So maybe somebody that's involved in a parent capacity or things like that. But you will need to work as a unit committee to select who that Scoutmaster will be for the linked troop. How you then divide the duties out and divide the meetings out, that then is 100% up to you. Adult applications for the other individuals, committee chair, charter rep, committee members, assistant Scoutmaster. If those people are new, they should fully complete the adult application. If it's somebody that is currently part of our scouting system, they can take care of the required signatures and make sure that their contact information is up to date and then submit it that way. I do want to point out that if somebody is currently part of scouting and is currently registered, there is not an additional fee for that person. So let's say with Leisha and Matt, let's say that Leisha is currently, I know that Leisha is currently an assistant Scoutmaster in 148. There would not be an additional registration fee for her to be the Scoutmaster in Troop 1481 or the female Troop 148. And we obviously want to see leaders complete training for their position as well. There's 2 other key pieces of paperwork. There's a new unit application and then a goldenrod charter organization agreement. We have copies of those here tonight. Most troop libraries or troop secretary folders have got youth apps and adult apps, but it's not always as common to have those other pieces of paperwork. So we do have those here this evening, or if you'd like to, we can get that to you as a PDF. We can mail it out to you, whatever that would be there. But we'll set those out on the check-in table here at the end. Registration fees. So there will be a $40 unit fee for this additional linked troop, and then that fee for individuals to register is $34. $33 of that is registration. $1 of that is for accident insurance. There. Please note that fee is prorated. So let's say that your unit is ready to go in the month of February. You're going to be looking at that full fee occurring because they'll be registering from February of 2019 to January of 2020. But let's say that your new linked troop is starting up in March or April or May. That fee will then reduce in a prorated capacity and then expire in the following January. And if you're not sure on how that math breaks down, just be in touch with one of us, please. And then finally, and this is part of your packet as well, the BSA has a recognition program for adults that are instrumental in starting a new scouting unit to kind of bring experiences to youth. It's the WD Boyce Knot. And I'm not sure if anybody in here is wearing one, although I know we've got people here that have started units. Is there anybody here that has earned that knot? Nick has, okay. So it's a knot that's worn on your shirt, above the pocket, just like any of the other adult recognitions. But it's designed to recognize those adults that have helped, again, to start a new unit. The application is in your packet. If there's something where you're not quite sure what the information is, let us know. But what we're really looking forward to doing is, as these units get started, having a chance to recognize a whole bunch of people with the WD Boyce Knot, either at the council recognition dinner in March or at the district recognition dinners that take place in the month of January or April. Recognition is a big deal for our youth that are in the program, but many times we forget to recognize each other as adults. So that opportunity is out there as well, and a piece of paperwork that we'd like to see you submit to us. Next. So that covers kind of covers that checklist of items that you should be looking to gather and things like that. Something that we're going to be doing with all of the units that are in attendance tonight and some of the others as well is we'll be looping back to you in the next few weeks to kind of determine what your anticipated timeline is, what local questions came up. We know that each unit committee is different, each scouting community is different, so there's going to be different nuances that that we're not quite sure, that you may not quite be sure on how that affects a Troop 36 or a Troop 13 or a Troop 11. So it's our intent to help have that conversation with you to identify resources or suggestions that you may need, but then also to ensure that you've got the right paper resources and the right idea resources as well. So we've got some copies of the national BSA FAQs. If you haven't seen those, we'll kind of leave those out for people to take a look at here at the end. But the final part of our evening, we wanted to reserve it for some of the people that are out there seeing the impact or the potential impact of family scouting on the Cub Scout side or Scouts BSA linked troops on the Boy Scout side. So I'm excited for us to have a couple of our council unit leaders participate and kind of share a little bit of their thoughts and some messages that they've been seeing and sharing regarding Scouts BSA. I won't be back up here again, so I want to once again thank everybody that was part of tonight. Please know that we'll be around afterwards for any individual questions. Feel free to grab myself or Jay, Tim, any of our great district executives as well, and we'll either help identify an answer for you. If it's something that we can't identify tonight, we'll make sure that we get an answer back to you as soon as we can. So, Mr. Runquist and Menor from PAC 76 Pepin, I'll invite the two of you to come up, or the one of you.
I'm going to delegate.
All right, I guess what they wanted to have us kind of talk about here a little bit was Pepin. We started a Cub Scout pack back up 6 years ago or something like that from ground zero. I still have yet to ask council when was the last time we had a registered Boy Scout troop, an actual active one. I don't think it's been since probably the 80s. We right now currently have some Arrow of Light boys, and I have in my Webelos, I have 4 girls that are coming forward on the Webelo side. So we are planning on starting a linked troop here for this February, rolling the Arrow Light ones in and having it already, the paperwork done, everything set in place, so we can move the possible girls the following year right in. I know we have some older siblings of our current Cub Scouts that are female that may jump in right off the bat. Pepin is small. We started with the Cub Scout side, we started with 4 families, then went to 6, then last year I think it was 12, and this year, now that we've able to add in the siblings and girls, we went to 24 families. So our Lions Club sponsor is very happy backing us on this progression. We've seen in the past twin sisters, or a son and the sister's a twin. She's at every meeting. She doesn't get recognition. She's doing everything. I've been asking council before they were announced that they were going to go with the girls for the last 2 years. Can we get some recognition of some way to these females? So we were an early adopter on adding the females into the Cub Scout program, and we're looking forward to rolling that right into the linked troops. I think it's going to be great. Small community. Our personal, my family's personal thing, my wife tried setting up a Girl Scout troop for my daughter. We could not find a second female leader to help first grade do this. we had a lot of them say, you start it, we'll sign our daughter up. Well, we can't do it. That's where I like how the Cub Scout program has been, whereas you have, I like to refer to as an umbrella. You have your pack. You have everyone that passes through that pack. It works nice because we're not changing hands every year as we progress forward. So I think in the long run, this is going to help our community because it's not going to be all these little groups that, well, it's just my 2 children going up the ladder and done. We're running them through one organization, especially with siblings. We just signed up, what we have, the Webelos, we have three, possibly 4 girls there. There's one on the fence right now, still to sign up. The Bears, we had 2 new girl sign-ups, and that was just a single boy. We have in our Wolf Den 2 girls, and we just added 2 more girls here that I think that are going to in the next month. One is right now paperwork, and our first graders, we pulled 2 girls right off there. We don't have any kindergartners this year, but I mean overall for small classes, and we're talking 20 or less kids in each class group. So for us to be able to take 2 boys and 2 girls on the Cub Scout side and progress forward, that's been very beneficial for us. So that's why we're hoping to keep this momentum and moving forward on us on our level with as a small group and continuing on with the troop side. So otherwise it's just not feasible to do it. So I think we're looking forward to it. Our community has had great response out of it when we've talked with them. I haven't ran into anyone that has flat out said, no, don't do this, or a naysayer. Like I tell everyone, I said, I don't care if it's a male or female. I said, we're doing family stuff. I want everyone to have the same opportunity to progress forward. So I said, a scout is a scout for as far as I'm concerned, and I want them to participate. So I don't know, Dave, anything else you want to throw out there quick?
I think our young Lady Scouts are having a great time. I mean, they're 100% in. I mean, they're scouted in, definitely. We're happy to have them.
So, all right, thank you.
I'll invite Ben Anderson, Scoutmaster of Troop 30, St. John's Lutheran Church, Eau Claire, forward.
Thank you.
I noticed. I noticed.
Want me to be it then?
No, I just need to take your counter space.
You are a damn thing.
Okay, so what I'm going to be sharing is actually a Scoutmaster Minute I gave at our troop meeting last month. And it was titled The Power of an Invitation. And have you ever thought about how powerful and life-changing an invitation can be? A few weeks ago, I thought of this as I was at about mile 23 while running a full marathon with my daughter. We had spent the previous 4 hours talking about life. And as we were at about mile 23 of the race, our legs were growing tired, our strides painful. Our conversation had paused for a bit. And for a few minutes, we concentrated simply on our running technique and simply putting one foot in front of the other. And often as this happens, or at this point in a marathon, I ask myself, how did I ever end up getting there? You know, how did I end up paying a lot of money to run a race that's 26.2 miles long, take 4 hours to run it? But in addition to that, it takes hundreds of miles of training runs over the summer to get up to there. So I asked, how did I get here? And it was an invitation. So about 15 years ago, a couple coworkers had come to me and invited me to join them in running the Buckshot run. And as you probably know, it's a 5-mile run. And I remember asking myself, who runs 5 miles? And at any rate, being a guy, I can't turn down a challenge, so I accepted the invitation. And I've run the race several times since then. The following year, the same coworkers came back to me and said, we're going to run the Twin Cities 10. Will you run that with us? And I remember again saying, what kind of crazy people run 10 miles? And again, not being able to turn down a challenge, I ran it, and I ran it the next 2 or 3 years. Since then, I eventually moved on to half marathons and eventually full marathons. And since that first sincere invitation, I've run thousands of miles, countless half marathons, and over a dozen full marathons. And Scouts, it all started with an invitation. So about 2 weeks ago, I'd finished reading a book titled The Next Generation Leader by Andy Stanley. And Mr. Stanley makes it clear you cannot lead without taking risks. He then goes on to say you won't take risks without courage. Courage is essential for leadership. Mr. Stanley notes that every great accomplishment began as a dream, and all great accomplishments are created twice. First, there is a dream or a mental creation. Secondly, there's a physical or actual creation. So as a leader, you must have the courage to dream, and to dream about what could be, and perhaps even more, what should be. A great leader pushes his or her mind to wander outside the boundaries of what is, and to begin to create a mental picture of what could be. The leader who accomplishes great things will not always be the most talented, will not always be the best educated, but the leader who refuses to let others constrain his or her thinking will be the one that accomplishes it. So sometimes the leader needs to look and say, I won't limit myself based on what others have done or what others have failed to do. Dreaming requires courage, for on the heels of every dream is the demon of doubt. As soon as we dream a preferred future, our minds quickly are filled with all of the reasons that it won't work. We wonder if we're really up to the task. In spite of all that, we must forge forward and dream. Otherwise, we simply spend our lives fulfilling the dreams of others. So, if you allow the fear to overcome or shadow your dreams, you'll never try anything new, and you'll never create anything great. Troop 30 was presented with the opportunity to extend a very powerful invitation. Did you know that the Boy Scouts of America has incorporated young ladies into Venture Scouts for the past 49 years? Young ladies have participated in Explorer Scouts for the past 47 years. They also participate in Sea Scouts, STEM Scouts, and now Cub Scouts. In 2019, young ladies will be finally welcomed into Scouts BSA. Troop 30 leadership was given the opportunity to decide if we wanted to extend this very powerful invitation to young ladies and to form a Troop 30 for young ladies. Did you know that there are only 4 countries in the entire world which do not have a Scout organization? Furthermore, of the over 200 countries that I could find with Scouting organizations, I could only find 13 that did not include both young men and young women. In these countries, women cannot make major decisions without male permission. Women cannot interact freely with men. They cannot swim in public. They cannot compete in public sports. And for of all things, they can't even try clothing on in some shopping malls when they're shopping. So to be sensitive to the members of the troop that night, I said, I omitted a number of disturbing topics that women and young ladies in these countries are subjected to. One subject close to this topic, however, was that I learned in some of these countries, girls as young as 8 years old are forced into marriage. So Scouts, we do not want to be in the same basket as those countries. So in summary tonight, I shared with you how powerful an invitation can be. I shared with you in order to lead in a meaningful way, you must take risks. Taking risks requires courage. To create a better future requires dreaming, and that requires courage. So Scouts, when Troop 30 leadership was presented with the opportunity to invite young ladies to join a Troop 30 for young ladies, we unanimously agreed that that is something that we will do, and we want to lead in that area. It's my hope in my dream that you'll dream with me to make tomorrow a better day for the young ladies for our community. So we're long overdue to step out of our comfort zone and to invite young ladies to join us as we become the leaders of tomorrow. Thank you. Thanks. Yes.
You can stand right next to you.
No, you're good. How's everybody doing?
Great.
Good. So there are two things that everybody hates, for things to change and for things to remain the same. So we're going to talk about both of those tonight. The things in our organization that are changing, we've talked a lot about the what. Part of the reason is we need to understand the why we're making this change. Overwhelming the research shows that families, especially millennial families that are going to be joining our program, if they have a son and a daughter, or they want to be able to go to one place. Overwhelmingly, the research shows that this is what our families that are joining our program want. So as you look into it, that is one of the main reasons why. I know some of the concerns initially that people heard is they're concerned about the willingness of volunteers. The other good thing about this research is that families that are willing to join our program overwhelmingly will be willing to volunteer. So you expand your ability to have a bigger pool of volunteers to help our unit programming. So it helps solve some of our actual volunteer programming or needs. When we talk about things that will not change, the thing that I'm most excited about and the thing that inspires me the most is actually the mission of the Boy Scouts of America. Our mission has not changed and remains the same. The mission of the Boy Scouts of America is to help young people. Our mission has never said to only serve boys. Our mission is to help young people by instilling in them the Scout Oath and Scout Law to help them make ethical decisions over their lifetime, ethical moral decisions. That's what we're here for. When we focus our efforts on making sure that we're serving youth, we have a better program. So thank you all very much for being here. Thank you for, as we navigate some of these things that are changes for us in our program, but I believe that it helps us serve our mission better. When we focus on our mission, we focus on serving youth, we will not lose. We will always be successful. So thank you all very much. And we need to do the drawing. Did everybody get a chance to get their name?
Except me, but that's fine.
Do you want
I got plenty of.
but not these ones. There's only two in the whole council.